see. Can we hear him? Yeah, we got him. All
Check,
right. I'm
check. Can
out.
you hear me?
I got you. Thank you, Kevin, and welcome.
Awesome, man. Glad to be here. So, welcome all. Welcome all. I am Kevin Franklin. I am a online health and fitness coach. I mainly cater myself to usually busy men, busy leaders who are usually caught in their busy jobs. They get caught up in overwhelm, and we don't want to bring that into our relationships. We don't bring that to our couples. So, what I focus on is really make sure that they focus on strategically leveraging habits to make sure they're not just being physically fit, but always thriving at their best, not just for themselves, but their couples, which I also view as their kingdom. All right. So we're not just going to focus on the men today, but we're also going to focus on the couples holistically, talking about what does it mean to be a fit couple. But real quick, before I even go there, I just want to give you a quick backstory and kind of goes a little context of what we're going to talk about when it comes to being a fit couple, just my upbringing. So real quick is that like how I even started in this profession is that I was a former athlete, college athlete, played football, and a lot of times I was labeled as that athlete, which I'm sure like a lot of guys, we grew up when it comes to sports, athletes, we labeled ourselves as that. And things came to a screeching halt when it comes to when we kind of get capped off when it comes to graduating. So we kind of get stuck in like, what now? We don't know what to do with our health and fitness when it comes to athletes. So I had an opportunity to actually get a chance to coach my former football team. And it was started out personally about me when it came to my fitness, my health, still trying to be an athlete as much as possible. But as time progressed, I kind of learned something that my fitness, my physique, my energy slowly was not just about me in the mirror. As a coach, as a head, as a leader, it became bigger than me because anything that I was doing, the kids beneath me began to mirror me. And this kind of what sparks my like love for fitness, working for the heads, working for leaders, because if the head is strong, it ripples down into every aspect of their kingdom, everything that goes beneath them. And I say that because what we're going to talk about is that what it means to be a fit couple, meaning that your fitness is not just about you. So I want to really ask you a question real quick. If real quick is that if my if I do not have myself in check when it comes to my health, my energy, my confidence, my mental clarity, how does our relationship work? I'm gonna say that one more time. If we're not in check when it comes to our health, our fitness, our energy, our confidence, and our mental clarity, what's left to bring to our relationships? So this is what I want y'all to think about. Like, what I really want y'all to think about is that fitness goes beyond you. It's far bigger than you. It is a kingdom base, and in this case, it's also part of your couple base. All right. So we're here to talk about thriving couples. So we're going to talk about what does it look like to be a fit couple. And yes, I focus on the men, but we're going to tile in on try and make this holistically for the ladies as well. Okay. So first thing I want y'all to start with, and once again, I want to make this simple and straightforward to you. I'm not going to get into the holistic, like the whole aspects of like the nitty gritty, which really don't matter. I really want to make sure y'all have some foundational steps that y'all can do to make sure that y'all are thriving as a fit couple. So the first step that I want y'all to really talk about, and this is stuff that I've been doing over the course of 10 plus years, I teach my clients, whatever, is that first you need to have a vision for what does your fitness look like in your kingdom. So when in this case, when I'm talking about your vision, I'm saying what does your vision for you and your spouse? What does that vision look like to be a fit couple, a power couple, if I can say that as well? What does that look like? What does that feel like? And most importantly, how is that going to impact your spouse, your relationships? If you have kids, how is that going to impact your kids? How does that impact you as a house, as a unit? Because if you're I know heard the last speaker, a person of faith, I think it's Ephesians say like for husbands, you supposed to love your wives as your body. Jesus' second greatest commandment says, love your neighbor as yourself. So we're not able to love at the capacity. We're only able to love at the capacity only to how we show up to the table. Hopefully that makes sense. So, and I love the biblical reference because it kind of just adds a little bit more weight to why we need to prioritize our fitness for the sake of those around us and make sure that's not just it becomes a conceited thing. So, first thing, and I kind of already said it, first step is that we want to make sure we have a clear vision of where we're going to go with our health, what it looks like, what does it feel like, and also who is it going to impact. And now on the reverse end, just to be realistic, we want to also have a anti-vision when it comes to this, because we already talked about if our health, energy, confidence, mental clarity. So let's go on the reverse end. What does our relationship look like when it comes to if we're constantly ill, if we're constantly sick, we're unhealthy, unfit, if we are not the same person we were when we first met? We had a certain standard for ourselves before, and we slowly are not at that standard. Like, what if that continues to happen over the course of 5, 6, 10 years? Like, we're smarter individuals who can play that out, but most of us are usually caught up in it now because of the busy day to day. But if you think of long enough, usually this will keep us grounded moving forward, both that anti-vision and that actual vision moving forward. All right. So that's number one. Most people fail when it comes to their fitness. And this was a transition for me. That's why I told you the story that most people fail because they don't have a vision bigger than themselves when it comes to their fitness. And especially, I know for myself personally, my fitness, my presence, my energy directly, indirectly impacts my wife, who gets it the most. And then on to those in my inner circle, and then those who at my workplace and so forth. It has a ripple down effect. So number one's the vision. Now we're going to talk about some habits y'all can incorporate. All right. So, and for me, it's not about the nitty gritty, but it's more about having a bigger eagle eye visual to make sure that this is something that can be long-term and sustainable. So the first step when it comes to your habits is that you must make yourself a priority on both ends, both the man and the woman. It has to be a you must make yourself a priority. All right. My favorite theme is like to say the king eats first. There's no kingdom literally without the word king. And for the ladies, the queen eats first. Once again, you got to love your neighbor as yourself. You got to make sure that you set the tone and make sure that you're going to make yourself a priority and make that decision that you're not going to put your spouse before your needs. All right. If you enhance yourself, you're naturally going to enhance your spouse's level as well, just based off influence. So first thing is just make the mental shift that we must be a priority for the sake of those that we care about the most. Okay. From there, one of my greatest favorite habits to do is make sure we set the tone early with win the morning, whatever that looks like for you. All right. If you win the morning, you're more likely to win the day. If you win the day, you're more likely to win the week, and it continues to ripple on. Now, the beauty about being a fit power couple is that you guys can choose, collaborate together and figure out what does that look like to win the morning together. Y'all can come together, figure out some key goals for yourself. So what does that look like? Usually my go-to is usually most people undervalue this, but it's the hydration factor. 75% of people in America are chronically dehydrated. 75% chronically dehydrated. So set the tone, drink about 2 bottles of water each and every day. That's something you'll hold each other accountable to, and that will naturally have a ripple effect and make sure that you're having more energy throughout the day. All right. Another way to do is to get early movement, early walking. Once your body's so stiff in bed, activate the body. That actually provides more energy, get some sunlight in. It's a big benefit bonus. Now, those are some samples. And next one I'll tell you, and the third one I'll give you one more, is that out of all things, when it comes to nutrition, dial in on the quality, the very first meal. You want to dial in on the quality first meal, because here's the deal, is that after long hours of sleep, that first meal, it's not just a Kellogg's thing, but our first meal is the most important because our body is more absorbent to that very first meal after a long period of term, which some people may call a fast. Okay, so we want to make sure that is, and real simple, it's not going to be non-processed, low sugar, quality whole foods based. And if we usually dial in on the first meal and be intentional about that, we're setting ourselves up for success. So just to recap real quick, we want to make sure that we put ourselves as a priority. King eats first, queen eats first. We want to make sure we win the morning. All right. I talked a little bit about positional eating. Now, here's a third one for you, is that I want y'all to really dial in on being mindful of what is your self-sabotaging behavior that might cause you, I like to call you kryptonite if you're a Superman person. What is your kryptonite? What's that weakness when it comes to food, chips, ice cream? And really what you want to do is just pick your days for it and make sure that you are claiming control of those kryptonite days and make sure it's not controlling you. And the beauty about doing this as a couple is that you're there to hold each other accountable moving forward. Okay. And then the last thing is that really be intentional about the nightcap. The best nightcap I can tell you is just make sure you're not eating 2 hours, 3 hours before you go to bed. That has a big factor when it comes to quality sleep. I feel like I'm sweating right there. Quality sleep. And at the end of the day, that should definitely be intentional about just being that personal time for y'all to come back together, reminisce, and reflect on the day. So those are my main themes, core themes when it comes to leveraging my habits. But it usually starts with the vision, leveraging those habits I kind of gave you. And then when it comes to the fitness, the whole thing about, the workouts, it usually is about just making sure your body's going through a form of stress that shocks the body, force the body to adapt, and then you're focusing on quality recovery. All right. The main downside that most people deal with is that they are already in flux with stress. So you got to really focus on quality work over quality time, and really gauge based off your stress level. So you're not bringing that stress at home to your spouse. So that's pretty much it. What I have for y'all. Main thing where you can find me pretty much is on Instagram, kevinfranklin.jr. And then, of course, on here, at on Facebook, not here, Facebook at Kevin Franklin. All right. But that's all I have